Zabulun, Chapter 1. The copy of the words of Zabulun, which he commanded his Banim before he died, in the 114th year of his height, 2 years after the death of Yusuf. And he said to them, Listen to me, you Banim of Zabulun. Attend to the words of your father. I, Zabulun, was born a good gift to my parents. For when I was born, my father was increased very exceedingly, both in flocks and herds. When the streaked rods he had his portion. I am not conscious that I have crimed all my days, except in thought. Nor yet do I remember that I have done any wickedness, except the crime of ignorance, which I committed against Yusuf. For I swore with my brothers not to tell my father what had been done, but I wept in secret much days on account of Yusuf, for I feared my brothers, because they had all agreed that if anyone should declare the secret, he should be slain. But when they intended to kill him, I begged them exceedingly with tears not to be guilty of this crime. Chapter 2. For Shimun and God came against Yusuf to kill him. And he said to them with tears, Show me favor, my brothers, have compassion upon the affections of Yaaqub our father. Do not lay your hands upon me to shed innocent blood, for I have not crimed against you. And if indeed I have crimed, discipline me with punishment, my brothers, but do not lay your hand on me because of Yaaqub our father. And as he spoke these words, wailing as he did so, I was unable to bear his lamentations, and began to weep. And my bile was poured out, and all the substance of my intestines was loosened. And I wept with Yusuf, and my heart thumped, and the joints of my body trembled, and I was not able to stand. And when Yusuf saw me weeping with him, and they coming against him to slay him, he fled behind me, pleading with them. But meanwhile Reuben arose and said, Come, my brothers, and let us slay him. But let us not slay him, but let us cast him into one of these dry pits, which our fathers dug, and found no water. For because of this Yaul prevented water rising in them, in order that Yusuf would be preserved. And they did so until they sold him to the Ishmaelites. Chapter 3. For in his price I had no share in my banim, but Shimun and Gad and 6 other of our brothers took the price of Yusuf, and bought sandals for themselves, and their wives, and their children, saying, We do not eat of it, for it is the price of our brother's blood, but we shall surely tread it under foot, because he has said that he would be sovereign over us. And so let us see what becomes of his dreams. Therefore it is written in the writing of the Torah of Musha, that whoever does not raise up seed to his brother, his sandal shall be removed, and they shall spit in his face. And the brothers of Yusuf intended that their brother should not live, and Yahuwah removed from them the sandal which they wore against Yusuf their brother. For when they came into Mitzrayim, they were released by the servants of Yusuf outside the gate. And so they made obeisance to Yusuf after the manner of the sovereign of Pharaoh. And not only did they make obeisance to him, but were spat upon also, falling down before him immediately, so that they were put to shame before the Mitzrites. For after this the Mitzrites heard all the evils that they had done to Yusuf. Chapter 4. And after he was sold, my brothers sat down to eat and to drink. But I, through compassion for Yusuf, did not eat, but watched the pit, since Yahudah feared lest Shimun, Dan, and Gad should rush off and slay him. But when they saw that I did not eat, they appointed me to watch him till he was sold to the Ishmaelites. When Reuben came and heard that he had been sold while he was away, he tore his garments, mourning, saying, How shall I look on the face of my father Yaaqub? And he took the silver and ran after the merchants, but because he failed to find them, he returned grieving. But the merchants had left the wide road and marched through the cave lands by a shortcut. But Reuben was grieved, and he ate no food that day. Dan therefore came to him and said, Do not weep, neither grieve, for we have found what we can say to our father Yaaqub. Let us slay a kid from the goats, and dip in it the coat of Yusuf, and let us send it to Yaaqub, saying, No, is this the coat of your bond? And they did so. For they stripped off his coat from Yusuf when they were selling him, and put the garment of a slave on him. Now Shimun took the coat, and would not give it up, for he intended to tear it with his sword, for he was angry that Yusuf lived, and that he had not slain him. Then we all rose and said to him, If you do not give up the coat, we shall say to our father that you alone did this evil matter in Yizraal. And so he gave it unto them, and they did even as Dan had said. Chapter 5. And now, my Banim, I say to you, guard the commands of Yahuwah, and show favor to your neighbors, and have compassion towards all, not towards males only, but also towards beasts. For because of this Yahuwah barak me, and when all my brothers were sick, I escaped without sickness, for Yahuwah knows the purpose of each. Therefore have compassion, and your hearts, my Banim, because even as a male does to his neighbor, even so Yahuwah shall also do to him. For the Banim of my brothers were sickly and were dying because of Yusuf, for they did not show favor in their hearts. But my Banim were preserved without sickness, as you know. And when I was in the land of Canaan by the sea coast, I made a catch of fish for Yaaqub my father. And when much were drowned in the sea, I continued unhurt. Chapter 6. I was the first to make a boat to sail upon the sea, for Yahuwah gave me understanding and wisdom in this. And I let down a rudder behind it, and stretched a sail upon another upright piece of wood in the midst. And I sailed in it along the shores, catching fish for the house of my father, until we came to Mitzrayim. And through compassion I shared my catch with every stranger. And if a male was a stranger, or sick or aged, I boiled the fish, and dressed them good, and offered them to all males, as every male had need, grieving with and having compassion upon them. Therefore Yahuwah also satisfied me with abundance of fish when catching fish, for he that shares with his neighbor receives abundantly more from Yahuwah. For 5 years I caught fish, and gave of them to every male whom I saw, and had enough for all the house of my father. And in the summer I caught fish, and in the winter I kept sheep with my brothers. Now I shall declare to you what I did. Or chapter 7. Now I shall declare to you what I did. I saw a male in distress through nakedness in winter time, and had compassion upon him, and removed a garment secretly from my father's house, and gave it to he who was in distress. Therefore, my Banim, do that from what Elohim places upon you. Show compassion and favor without hesitation to all males, and give to every male with a good heart. And if you do not have the means to give to he that is in need, show affection for him and compassion of favor. I know that I did not find in my hand the means to give to he that needed, and I walked with him weeping for 7 stadium, and my affections yearned toward him in compassion. Chapter 8. Therefore, my Banim, also have compassion towards every male with favor, that Yahuwah may also have compassion and favor upon you, because also in the last days Elohim shall send his compassion on the Eretz, and wherever he finds compassion of favor, he dwells in him. For in the degree in which a male has compassion upon his neighbors, in the same degree Yahuwah also has upon him. And when he went down into Mitzrayim, Yusuf bore no evil against us, to whom, taking heed, do also my Banim. Prove yourselves without evil, and love one another, and each one of you do not reckon evil against his brother, for this breaks unity, and divides all relations, and troubles the being, and ages the face. Chapter 9. Therefore observe the waters, and know when they flow together. They sweep along stones, trees, arets, and other matter. But if they are divided into much streams, the arets swallows them up, and they vanish away. So you also shall be if you are divided. You therefore do not be divided into two heads for all which Yahuwah has made, but one head, and two shoulders, 2 hands, 2 feet, and all the remaining members. For I have learned in the writing of my fathers that you shall be divided in Israel, and you shall follow two sovereigns, and you shall work every abomination. And your enemies shall lead you captive, and you shall be treated evilly among the Gentiles with much sicknesses and afflictions. And after these events you shall remember Yahuwah and repent, and he shall cause you to return. For he is full of favor and compassionate, and he does not reckon evil to the banim of males, because they are flesh, and the root of deceit deceive them in all their deeds. And after these matters Yahuwah himself shall raise to you light of righteousness and healing of compassion, and shall be in his wings. He shall redeem all the captivity of the banim of males from Belial, and every root of deceit shall be trodden down. And he shall bring back all the Gentiles and adore for him. And you shall return to your land, and you shall see him in Yerushalayim for his name's sake. And again, through wickedness of your works, shall you provoke him to anger, and you shall be cast away by him till the time of a complete end. Chapter 10. And now, my banim, do not grieve that I am dying, nor be downcast in that I am coming to my end. For I shall raise again in the midst of you as a ruler in the midst of his banim, and I shall rejoice in the midst of my tribe, as much as that guard the Torah of Yahuwah and the commands of Zabulun their father. But Yahuwah shall bring eternal fire upon the unrighteous and destroy them throughout their all generations. But I am now hastening away to my rest, as my fathers also did. But you revere Yahuwah, our Elohim, with all your strength all the days of your height. And when he had said these words, he fell asleep at a good old age, and his banim laid him in a wooden coffin, and afterwards they carried him up and buried him in Hebron with his fathers.